Hey guys, it's TF Nut. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have another action figure review. This is going to be of the brand new Marvel Legends series Spider-Man 60 Amazing Years release of Marvel Legends. This is of the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man. The first appearance Spider-Man here, looking very cool. Was most excited for this one out of all the brand new releases of Spider-Man figures, as well as Iron Spider. Don't have that one yet though. Years ago, I had a Toy Biz first appearance Spider-Man figure, and unfortunately that broke. I was like 5 or 6 at the time, then years later just ended up breaking, unfortunately. So hopefully, this is going to hit a nostalgic spot. We have the brand new controversial packaging here, which I talked about to death in the Renew Your Vows review, so I won't talk about my criticisms here, but I will go in depth in the packaging. On the top half here, it does say Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man. You have the figure in the box and the pose. You have the Spider-Man from that cover in the blue there. In the background, you have some red and black dots throughout the packaging, which actually I think looks kind of cool. Bottom half, it does say Marvel Amazing Fantasy, as well as Warning Choking Hazard and Hasbro logo. On this side, it's just a neutral stance digital render of the figure. It does say Marvel Legends series in the top there. On this side, it's got really cool artwork from the original cover of Amazing Fantasy 15, and it does say Marvel Legends series towards the bottom there. On this top flap, it does say Marvel Legends series ages 4 and up, as well as half of Spider-Man's face, and you have the logo for Spider-Man 60 Amazing Years. Here's a wide shot of the back of the packaging. There is no read-up, unfortunately, anymore, but you look in the top half, it does say Marvel Legends Series Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man. You have some comic panels and some comic covers in the backdrop there. You have the figure posed on the box. You also have all the accessories listed there. Bottom half here, it's just a bunch of multilingual legal stuff that I don't really understand. We do have the Marvel logo, the Hasbro logo, and then we have the barcode here in case you need it. Let's go ahead and get this figure out of the packaging. Here's the figure out of the packaging. I know I was pretty critical in my last review, the Spider-Man Spinner Rat 2-pack, but honestly here, this is a really nice figure. I'm very happy with it. It's not perfect. I have some paint imperfections on my particular figure, but the body mold so far is really nice, and all the stuff that this figure comes with actually feels like it warrants the price point, which is like 28 bucks for this figure. Let's go ahead and take a look at those accessories, then we'll take a closer look at the figure. So the figure comes packaged with a thwip hand and a fist. As you can see, we have a lot of accessories here. We have that opposite set of hands there, the thwip and the fist. We also have open web crawling hands. We have gripping hands for the web effect. I don't think we've had a Spider-Man with a gripping hand since I think maybe Superior Spider-Man years ago. And then we have two different sets of those web wings, one that's more open and one that's more closed. First of all, let's take a look at the opposite hands, the ones that were packaged. So the left whip hand, you can see that mark on the index finger. I can maybe get that off later, but the web lines used to be really good in the Marvel Legends line for a lot of Spider-Man figures, and lately it's just not ideal. The rest of the hand is fine, but you get to you look hard with the index finger as well as the thumb. I think it was in the thumb too. Yeah, it's just some paint splotches that aren't amazing, but the rest of the hand, it looks like there's some decent webbing going on there. With the fist, there's a little bit of a missed paint splotch right there. There's a little bit of a black line that's not connected with that black line on the index finger, and just some minor parts where it's still a little annoying, but it's not as bad as me personally I thought the Renew Your Vows Spidey was. I don't really like the webs on my particular figure at all. Here's what we have with the open hands. Looks like some of the creases in the palms get in the way of those paint apps being properly applied, especially on the right hand, if you could see there. I don't know if this is supposed to be missing web lines, because you see where the index finger has some there, and then the base of those fingers just don't. So I'm not going to knock it too much if that's a design choice, and there's missing some web lines there. Really, really could be better, seriously. I'm going to say it again, the price that we're paying now for Marvel Legends figures, they better have better paint apps, especially since we can't see them. I'm going to say it until I get a figure that doesn't have bad paint apps, damn it. And then the web gripping hands I actually really like. I'm glad that we have these. And honestly, I said the standard is usually for Spider-Man figures is, wall crawling, thwip, and fists. And if I'm being honest, the standard should also include, if it's going to come with a web effect like this figure, grip hands too. Glad that we have some here. I'm going to try to see if these will work for other Spider-Man figures too. These look good. I don't know if these are reused. They look new to me. I don't think that these have been reused. Definitely not from the 2014 or maybe earlier Superior Spider. That much I can tell you, because they had like little ridges on the thumbs on that original figure. The web lines on mine have a little bit of missed areas, but it still looks fine for those particular sets of hands. And then we do have the web line here. We've gotten this plenty and plenty of times. I know why we got it, so that way he can, swing around with those hands. I also wish maybe we got some effects pieces like the web splats like we got with Spider Armor Mark 1. Either this or both of those would have been fine. But this is more of like a white almost. It's not translucent, but it's very much a dark. I can't really tell what kind of color they're going for except, white. But, it is a very nice looking web line. I just wish it had some bendy wires in it too. The sculpt was always pretty decent. You have a little hook right there in case you have some more of these web lines. Yeah, you can hook it like that. And it's not the sturdiest though. It's almost like a silverish type of white that they're using for the plastic. Like a pearlized white. And then we have the web wings. So to go over really quick, these detailed web wings actually look really good. They have similar, basically, molded plastic like you saw with those web wings, where they look kind of silverish, but they're definitely mostly white. The texture in those webs are really nice. That's what the inside looks like. That's what the outside looks like. And you might be thinking, how are you going to figure out where to insert these on the arms right here? So if you look at the back of the packaging, as well as promotional images, essentially this is supposed to drape around the figure. So the one that's sticking out more like to the left, that's going to go under the, oh gosh, I say that now, it's giving me trouble. So you get stick that in there. It should. I didn't have problems with this earlier. Let's see. There we go. These will probably fall out at some point. But you put that in there, and then make sure you want to raise these shoulders a little bit, but you might chew up the plastic by doing that. So just be careful, mostly because the butterfly joint is causing the chewing of the plastic. So that's what that's going to look like. It's not the greatest system. It really isn't. But it's something. And then we also have a closed version of these right here. So, this peg sticking out left, this peg sticking out right. Just do similarly, what I just showed you. So that will drape under that. And these grooves also have a specific shape to each, especially the holes as well. So you want to line up those shapes with the holes. This is taking forever, so apologies for that. That drapes behind the figure like that, and it drapes in there. And again, it could be better. Measuring out the figure, this figure is going to be, I think, a little under 16.5 centimeters. That's going to make it a little under 6.5 inches. This is a different body mold compared to this. The Rainier Valves and 2020 Retro Spider-Man here. It's going to be a little bit taller on the right compared to the new one on the left. I believe it's a brand new body mold. It's also going to be a little bit wider and beefier on the one on the right compared to the one on the left. I like both body molds a lot. But this new one, I think, does a really good job of capturing a younger comic Spider-Man. He's muscular enough, but not too muscular. Just a perfect medium, I think. I really like the new head sculpt here, besides maybe how they like to square off the jaws sometimes. They look a little too wide. I think it's accurate for the design, from the comics, so I'm not going to hate on it too much. These, the black and the white here in the eyes, they do protrude out. You can feel that. It doesn't look, there's maybe a little bit of messiness, but just very, very minuscule amounts of messy paint on the head sculpt, so that's good. Looks like they stopped continuing the web line right there at some point. It does have a traditional hinge ball joint. One thing I don't think is accurate is that I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be like a darker blue or some type of blue instead of red. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. It's just the red sculpt. They have the shape and the sculpt. It's mostly paint, actually. I thought there was actually some sculpt on here, but it's mostly paint. The paint on here looks good. The shape is fine. It just is supposed to be a different color. But the front spider logo looks good. Look at that. That nice rounded spider. I dig that a lot. So I'm looking at this figure. Looks like there's a heavy web line right there on the crotch. This one doesn't have as bad as web lines as my Renew Your Vows Spidey. It just kind of stops in some areas right before it gets to the black. If the good thing about this particular design is because of the black instead of the blue, you can make these black web lines go over, and sometimes you just can't tell. But it's instead some of these web lines just stop before it actually reaches the black, so that's a little annoying. Same thing here. Spider-Man figures usually have pretty good web lines over the past couple years, so I don't really know what was going on with this release of figures. We do have a little bit of some black splotches throughout the shoulders, but they're pretty minuscule. I can't really tell besides a couple spots too well where they are. Same thing here. You can see a bit of a smudge right there. So, again, what you're paying for, paint's not perfect. I don't think it's as bad as my particular Renew Your Vows Spidey. I think all the webs are pretty decent throughout, especially around the waist and the back of the shoulders. This is no matter what, it's not going to continue here, so that's fine. If I push that forward, they actually do continue the web lines pretty well on the butterfly joint. Same thing on the front here. Yeah, everything looks good there. Everything else to talk about is just like this brighter black, just basic sculpt. It does have pinless tech, so that's cool. In the knees, it has pinless tech. And you do also get the pinless tech in the elbows. All that looks good. Looks a little bit glossy here compared to the rest of the black, you know, this elbow. But it still looks fine. I don't think these web holes, though the holes for the web wings are too distracting either. I think that's fine. They may eventually have some rubbing there, not entirely sure, but for now they're not too visible and they work well with the web lines. Besides, you know, the web lines themselves wanting to pop out whenever they want. Yeah, just taking a quick look again. Everything's very smooth. It's definitely not that much, you know, reuse. I mean, these are brand new hips, but you can see a lot more muscles that have been added into the sculpt for the body of the one on the right compared to the one here, which I think is comic accurate. The knees are consistent. There might be a little bit glossy too compared to the rest of the leg, but it's not too bad on camera, I think. Sometimes with the new pinless tech, the knees look different from the rest of the leg. These came through nice. I think the webs actually come through really well on the calves, so that's good. Looking around here, there might be a little bit of imperfections on the feet, but you really gotta look close to find them. I thought that these feet would be reused, and I'm gonna bring out the actual 2020 figure here. Thought they were reused. You can see that the one on the right's a little bit longer. It's actually a little pointier than the rounded off legs, or the feet I should say, on this new version here. That's what the bottom of the feet look like. So yeah, I really dig how this looks, and I think that the body comes through really nice. There is some muscles going on here similar to how it looks in the comics, mostly with the ribs, but it's not too, again, not too muscular. They have, you know, appropriate amount of muscles where it should. It's not just super overwhelming with some of the muscles like here, which is fine for the type of, you know, version of Spider-Man here. So yeah, I really like how this looks. Alright, articulation. Head hinges up and down really nice. Swivels like this can maybe get a little bit of tilt there. You also have butterfly joints going forward or back. The arms, just be careful pushing these out, but they actually could go up far like that and down all the way around. Seems like with some of these new arms, they have these smaller pins going into the biceps, so it feels a little gummy here. That's not my favorite feeling in the world. It was similar to the Renew Your Vows Spidey, but it swivels here at the arm. We do have a really nice double jointed elbow. I think it gets a better bend at the bottom part here. Swivel at the wrist is hinge of the wrist is for all sets of hands. Ball jointed waist, so it could go all the way around, side to side like this. Forward and back motion is not amazing. You do get that swivel that breaks up the paint, unfortunately, but you do also have a hinge, like an ab crunch, so it actually allows for a lot of great range of motion at the torso. I can't feel a drop down system here, but you can kick out that far with the legs. Doesn't really want to kick back at all, just very minor. In and out is pretty good. We do have upper thigh swivel. We get double jointed knees, calf rotation, up and down bend at the foot, as well as ankle rockers that are a little bit ratchety and, you know, want to snag at some areas, but they don't feel like they're going to break off the way that they snag. I forgot to mention that the gripping hands for the web effect, they do go up and down, whereas the rest of the hands go in and out. Not much I want to do with size comparisons. On the left, we have the brand new Renew Your Vow Spider-Man. On the right, we have the first ever Black Series Mandalorian. Looks like Spidey's going to be pretty in scale with Mando, since he is shorter and a little bit younger in this interpretation compared to the one on the left. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with this figure. I think it's actually worth the price that they are charging here. And I like it a little bit more than the Renew Your Vow set. I was a little bit disappointed by that. This figure here has some minor paint imperfections that I still think shouldn't be there, but overall I'm really happy with the new body mold that they're using for this type of Spider-Man. Pinless tech works really well. The articulation is very good. All the amount of accessories here are great. Tons of different hands and some cool web effects. I do think that the web wings are a little finicky. They're not the greatest system, but it's cool that they did include them. And once you get them, you know, looking good, it does work pretty well. Overall, very solid figure. Very happy to have it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the figure, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later.